All right, so picture this. You're sitting down with your financial planner.
Oh, that's always a fun meeting.
Yeah, exactly. It's, a Tuesday afternoon, the coffee's lukewarm, you've got your spreadsheets out, and you were just stressing.
You're wondering if you're ever going to be able to stop working.
Totally. You're looking at inflation, at your meager 401k,
Yeah.
and then, bam, the door kicks open.
And in walks who?
In walks, let's just say, Elon Musk. He sweeps all your papers off the table, looks you dead in the eye and says, "Why are you bothering with all this math? Saving is obsolete. The robots are coming."
Huh. I mean, it is an incredibly seductive pitch, isn't it?
It's so seductive.
The idea that the whole struggle, the entire rat race, is just, going to be canceled because of technology.
Who doesn't want to believe that? But
Yeah.
look, this isn't just some sci-fi fantasy anymore. This is a real narrative coming out of Silicon Valley. But today, we're going to do something a little different. We are not just going to buy the hype, and we're not going to just dismiss it. We're going to treat this whole abundance narrative like a building we're thinking of buying.
Okay, I like that analogy.
We're going to perform a rigorous structural safety inspection.
And our inspector for this deep dive is Johan Steyn. He's an AI thought leader, an author, and he recently wrote this fascinating and frankly very grounding article.
And what's it called?
It's titled "The AI Abundance Paradox: Why Distribution Trumps Innovation."
The title alone suggests we might find a few cracks in the foundation, doesn't it? Distribution trumps innovation.
It certainly does, and that's really the mission for this deep dive. We're going to unpack this high-stakes tension.
Okay.
On one side, you have that techno-optimist vision. AI plus robotics equals a labor-free utopia.
Where goods are free and money's a relic.
Exactly. And on the other side, you have Steyn's argument, which is much more focused on, let's say, the plumbing of the economy.
Right.
He basically argues that abundance is meaningless if you can't actually access it. We need to figure out the difference between a world that is productive and a world that is secure for you.
Okay, so let's put on our hard hats. Let's go down to the basement of this building. We have to understand the actual promise here. Because when Musk or Sam Altman talk about this, they're not just talking about, chatbots writing poems.
No, this is fundamental.
What is the premise? Why would AI make my retirement savings totally unnecessary?
Well, the logic, if you kind of strip it down to just the pure engineering standpoint, is actually pretty sound.
Okay.
It all relies on this one concept: zero marginal cost.
Zero marginal cost. Okay, let's break that down.
Right. So right now, if you want to build a car, you have to pay for steel, for energy, and crucially for the human labor.
And humans are expensive.
Very expensive. We need to sleep, we need health insurance, we take lunch breaks. Musk's argument is that if you solve AGI, artificial general intelligence, and you pair that with advanced robotics, you effectively solve the labor shortage. Permanently.
Right. You get infinite workers who work 24/7. They don't unionize, and they don't need a pension.
Precisely. So if your labor costs drop to basically zero, and robots can mine the ore and refine the metal and build a factory and then assemble the car,
Then the cost of that car just crashes.
it becomes incredibly, incredibly cheap. Musk's view is that we enter an age of abundance where goods and services are so plentiful that saving up for them becomes an old-fashioned idea.
Like saving up to buy air.
Exactly. It's the Star Trek economy.
You walk up to the replicator, say, "Tea, Earl Grey, hot," and poof, it appears. No one's swiping a credit card.
That is the ideal, yes. That is the technological abundance argument. But this is where Steyn comes in and, shines a big flashlight on a massive structural crack.
Here we go.
He argues that when billionaires talk about this future, they're mixing up two very different things: technological abundance and household security.
Okay, distinguish those for me. Because if everything is cheap, doesn't that automatically mean my household is secure?
Not necessarily. And I think we're already seeing this. Think about it. We have technological deflation in digital goods.
For sure.
You can get a lawyer-level contract written by an AI for, pennies? You can access every song ever recorded for $10 a month. That's digital opulence.
That's true. I have a literal supercomputer in my pocket, access to all the world's knowledge, but I still panic about my grocery bill.
Exactly. Steyn calls that the disconnect. Technological abundance is about the capacity to produce. Household security is about your access to the essentials of life. And Steyn points out, for most people, retirement isn't some philosophical puzzle about the future of technology.
Yeah, it's a monthly anxiety about real bills.
It's, can I pay the heating bill? And what happens if I need a hip replacement? Just because AI makes society wealthier in the aggregate, that doesn't mean those gains just, teleport into your bank account.
So we could end up in this weird world of digital opulence and physical scarcity.
Hmm.
I can watch 4K movies for free, but I can't afford an apartment.
That is the exact paradox Steyn is warning us about. And for Musk's vision to actually work for that physical scarcity to disappear, you have to believe in this massive chain of assumptions.
Ah, okay. I love a good best-case scenario, but as a safety inspector, I am very worried about relying on a chain where every single link has to hold perfectly.
It's a fragile chain.
So let's stress test it. What needs to go right?
Well, the first link is really about the physics of intelligence. It's about energy. For this vision of infinite robot labor to work, the cost of energy has to drop to near zero.
Right.
You need just massive amounts of power to run the AIs and the robots.
But hold on, let me play devil's advocate here. Solar is getting cheaper every single year. Batteries are getting better. Aren't we on that path already?
We are on a path of improvement, yes, but you have to look at the immediate reality, which is that AI data centers are absolute energy vampires. I read recently that a single sophisticated AI query can use 10 times the electricity of a standard Google search. We aren't seeing energy demand drop, we're seeing it spike. And Steyn's point is that unless we have some massive breakthrough like commercial, fusion energy is going to remain a constraint.
So if electricity costs money, the robot costs money to run.
Yes.
And if the robot costs money, the car it builds isn't free.
Exactly. The math of free stuff breaks down right there at the power plant. Then the second link in the chain is robotics scaling.
Right.
It's one thing to have a cool demo of a robot folding a shirt in a lab. It is a completely different logistical beast to manufacture, deploy, and maintain 5 billion of them.
That's so true. I mean, my little vacuum cleaner robot still gets stuck on the rug and cries for help. We are a long way from a robot that can come in and plumb my house.
A very long way. And the third link is the supply chain. Even with perfect robots, you still need the raw materials. Lithium, copper, rare earth metals.
AI can't just code those things into existence.
It cannot. There is a physical limit to how fast we can pull resources out of the earth.
So, what Steyn is saying is that the digital world can scale exponentially, but the physical world, it only scales linearly.
And we all live in the physical world.
Yeah.
Spot on. And this brings us to what he calls the messy middle.
The messy middle.
Steyn argues that even if this utopia is coming eventually, the transition period is going to be incredibly volatile. We're not just going to wake up tomorrow and start traveling. We're going to have 10, 20, maybe 30 years where jobs are displaced before all the costs come down.
That's the terrifying part. It's like jumping out of a plane because someone promised to build a net at the bottom before you land.
That's a perfect analogy.
If that net isn't ready in time, you hit the ground.
And Steyn's point is that buffers, savings, assets, financial security, they matter most during transitions. If you stop saving now for a utopia in 20 years, you might just starve in year 10.
Okay, so the foundation is a little bit shaky on the physics side of things. Let's look at the economics, the structural integrity of the market itself. This gets us to what Steyn calls the ownership problem.
This is really the who wins question.
So the standard capitalist argument, and I assume this is Musk's argument, is that competition fixes everything. If Ford uses robots to make cars for $5, Chevy has to do the same to compete.
Right. And eventually the price wars drive the cost down for me, the consumer.
Yeah.
So I win.
Exactly. So why does Steyn think that won't happen this time?
Because that's the textbook theory. But Steyn points to a snag, and that's the winner-take-all dynamic of AI.
Mm-hmm.
In the industrial age, sure, you could have 10 different car companies, but in the AI age, all the value accrues to the networks and the data. If one company develops the best AGI, they effectively have a monopoly on intelligence.
Right, it's like search engines. There's really only one Google. You don't have 10 Googles competing to lower ad prices.
Exactly. And if you have a monopoly, you don't lower prices just because your costs went down. You keep the prices stable and you absorb that massive efficiency as profit. This is why Steyn warns about the inequality trap. We could see a world that is technically more productive than ever. The pie is huge, but the slices are distributed to a tiny group of people who own the code, the chips, and the data centers.
So the efficiency gains just get trapped at the top. The factory is 100 times more efficient, but the worker...
Or the ex-worker?
Right, the ex-worker, they don't see a dime of that.
And historically, that is exactly what has happened over the last 40 years of automation. Productivity went up, wages stagnated. Steyn's warning is that without deliberate mechanisms to spread the benefits, we're just supercharging that inequality.
Okay, continuing our safety inspection. We've looked at the foundation, which is energy, the framing, which is ownership. Let's look at the roof, The sticky costs.
Yes.
This was the part of the article that really hit home for me because it explains why my budget feels so tight, even when, TVs are super cheap.
Sticky costs are the things that AI just can't easily deflate. Musk's vision works great for manufactured goods. Toasters, clothes, gadgets.
Sure, robots can make those dirt cheap.
But look at your actual household budget. What are the really big-ticket items?
It's housing, healthcare, education, elder care.
Exactly. And Steyn points out that these costs are sticky because they aren't just about manufacturing labor. Take housing. A robot can build a house for $10, fine. But the land that house sits on,
That's finite.
it's finite. AI cannot code more land into existence in downtown Manhattan or London.
That's a crucial distinction. Land value is about scarcity and location. Robots don't solve the scarcity of a good location. If everyone wants to live in the same safe neighborhood, the price of that land goes up, no matter how cheap the drywall is.
Precisely. And then there's the human premium. This touches on something economists call Baumel's cost disease.
Okay.
Think about healthcare or elder care. Even if a robot can help an elderly person out of bed, do we really want a society where we replace all human interaction?
Probably not, no. I want a human doctor to deliver the bad news. I want a human nurse looking after my mom.
Exactly. And because we value that human touch, it becomes a luxury good. As all the manufactured stuff gets cheaper, the relative cost of human labor in those care-based sectors actually goes up.
Oh.
Steyn writes, these are not problems that disappear automatically because AI can write code.
So while my toaster might be free in 2035, my rent and my doctor's visit could be even more expensive than they are today.
Which means you still need money. You still need a nest egg. The problems of housing and healthcare, they are political and structural, not just technological. You can't tech support your way out of a housing crisis.
Which brings us to the psychological danger here. Steyn seems pretty worried that this tech optimism isn't just wrong, it's actually harmful advice.
He is. He's very concerned. He warns that when a figure with the influence of Elon Musk says something like saving is irrelevant, speculation starts to sound like financial advice.
And who's listening to that?
It's not the other billionaires. They're fine. It's the young workers. It's the people drowning in student debt. It's low-income families.
It becomes an escape hatch, doesn't it?
Hmm.
If I'm 25
Oh.
and I look at the cost of buying a house, it just feels impossible. So when someone says, don't worry, the robots will fix it, I want to believe him.
Of course you do. It relieves the anxiety. It allows you to sort of check out of the responsibility. But Steyn calls us back to what he calls the adult view. He has this great line. He says, retirement planning exists because life is uncertain and income is fragile. People save because jobs end, bodies age, markets swing, and governments change policy.
Bodies age. That's the one you can't really negotiate with.
You absolutely can't. And Steyn emphasizes that acknowledging this, it's not pessimism, it's just adulthood. Uncertainty is a feature of life, not a bug.
Right.
And until that abundance is actually in your bank account, until you have the keys to the free house, you have to plan for that uncertainty.
So let's get to the brass tacks then. We've inspected the building. We found some pretty major structural issues. What's the recommendation here? Is Steyn saying we should just ignore AI and, stuff cash into the mattress?
No, not at all. He suggests what I would describe as a barbell strategy.
Ooh, a fancy finance term. Break that down for us.
So imagine a barbell. On one side of the barbell, you have hyper-adoption.
Right.
Steyn says you should absolutely use AI. Use it to make yourself more productive at work today. Squeeze every drop of efficiency out of these tools to increase your income now. You have to ride the wave.
So don't be a Luddite. Use ChatGPT to negotiate your bills, use it to learn new skills, make that money while the system still rewards your labor.
Exactly. But on the other end of the barbell is hyper-conservatism when it comes to your security. Don't assume that high income will last forever. Don't assume the tech is going to save you. And Steyn suggests shifting your mindset from retirement savings to an autonomy fund.
An autonomy fund. I actually like that branding a lot better.
It's really powerful, isn't it? You aren't just saving for a golf course in Florida. You are saving for autonomy. You're buying yourself time. If the labor market collapses in 10 years or your industry gets automated, having 10 years of expenses saved up gives you options. It gives you a buffer to figure out the new world.
So you're buying yourself a runway. You're buying a parachute.
Exactly. Steyn says, don't outsource your financial planning to futurism. Use the tool, but save like the tool might fail you.
That brings us to the final piece of the inspection then. The building codes. Steyn argues that if we really want this abundance thing to work for everyone, Individual saving just isn't enough. We have to look at the architects, the government.
And this is where the conversation shifts to the social contract. Steyn says abundance requires an operating model, not just a slogan. If Musk is right and labor becomes optional, then the whole way we fund our society has to change.
Right, because right now, we tax labor. Income tax pays for the roads, for the schools. If robots do all the work and they don't get paid, the tax base just evaporates.
It's gone. We're trying to run a 21st century automated economy on 20th century tax laws. It doesn't work.
So what do we do?
Steyn suggests we need to have some really hard conversations about things like taxing automation or taxing land value or just completely rethinking how we fund social safety nets.
And that's the hard work he talks about. The hard work isn't just building the robot. The engineers will figure that out. The hard work is building the fairness into the system.
It's building a system where the productivity benefits the many, not just the few. I mean, history shows us technology creates capacity, but policy creates equity. You don't get the second one just by getting more of the first.
So, to wrap up our inspection of the AI abundance building, is saving for retirement obsolete?
The verdict from the inspector is a pretty definitive no. The building is just not ready for occupancy yet.
The wiring is faulty, the roof might leak, and the power isn't even hooked up.
And the landlord hasn't given you a lease. Steyn's final takeaway is that retirement isn't solved by optimism. It's solved by institutions and by income continuity. And until there's a credible explanation of how abundance becomes security for everyone, saving is your only real defense.
So listen for the missing word. When you hear abundance, you need to ask distribution.
And ask security.
It is a sobering reality check, but I think a necessary one. It's fun to dream about the Star Trek future, but we have to actually live in the messy present.
And prepare for the transition.
Exactly. So here's a final thought for you to chew on as you go about your day, and maybe check your bank balance. If we are really moving toward a world where human labor is optional, where we don't have to work to produce value, we have to ask ourselves, are we building a system where value is shared, or are we just building a system where we become efficient observers of someone else's wealth?
That is the question of the century.
Thanks for diving deep with us. Keep your hard hats on, stay skeptical, and we'll catch you next time.
Goodbye, everyone.